In the shadowed embrace of two towering cliffs, a small band of warriors chose to face impossible odds. 300 Spartans, led by the indomitable King Leonidas, stood against the might of Persia's vast army at the Battle of Thermopylae. In this craggy passage, every shield clash and battle cry echoed defiance and an unwavering commitment to their homeland. It was a dance of audacious bravery against overwhelming numbers. But what if I told you this stand of the few against the many was but a chapter in a saga much grander? A story of a land steeped in glory and tainted by conflict. Welcome to the turbulent history of Greece. Embark with us on a riveting journey, tracing the footsteps of a civilization that laid the foundation for the world we know today. A nation that once held the world in the grasp of its empire, endured the shackles of Ottoman domination, and emerged, phoenix-like, into the vibrant modern state we see today. In order to fully understand this legacy, we must trace back to its earliest days. Long before the towering Acropolis or the debates in the Athenian Agora, the lands and islands of what we now know as Greece were the cradle of some of Europe's earliest civilizations. The prehistoric period, a vast expanse of millennia, witnessed the gradual transformation from scattered hunter-gatherer communities to the birth of organized urban settlements. The dawn of the Neolithic era saw the establishment of the first settled communities in Greece, around 7000 BCE. These early settlers began cultivating land, domesticating animals, and forming trade networks. As time progressed, these rudimentary settlements evolved into more complex societal structures. Trade blossomed, crafts specialized, and by virtue of their location, these communities were set to be pivotal players in the Mediterranean. But it wasn't until the Bronze Age that we witnessed the real flourishing of intricate civilizations in this region. Aegean Greece, blessed with fertile lands and a strategically advantageous position, became a nexus for cultural interaction and exchange. The stage was set for the emergence of distinct civilizations that would leave an indelible mark not only on the region, but on the annals of world history. The history of early Greece is illuminated by three major civilizations: the Minoans, the Mycenaeans, and the Cyclades. The Minoan civilization, based primarily on the island of Crete, is often touted as the earliest beacon of high culture in the Aegean. From about 3000 BCE to about 1100 BCE, it flourished around 2000 BCE. And the Minoans are best known for their sprawling palace complexes, most notably the Knossos. These palaces were not just royal residences, but multifunctional hubs of administrative, religious, and economic activity. The vibrant frescoes adorning their walls depict scenes of festivity, marine life, and ritual, highlighting a society deeply connected to both the sea and their deities. The Minoans were adept seafarers, establishing trade routes and interactions with civilizations as far as Egypt. Their linear scripts, namely Linear A, though not fully deciphered, provide tantalizing glimpses into their advanced administrative systems and record-keeping. Directly to the north on the mainland, the Mycenaean civilization took root. Originating around 1700 BCE, they borrowed and adapted much from the Minoans, but developed a distinct culture of their own. Like Mycenaean Tirans, their citadels stood testament to their martial prowess. Heavily fortified with cyclopean walls, these centers projected their power and influence across the region. The Mycenaeans were also known for their burial practices, with shaft graves and later tholos tombs housing the elite alongside a wealth of grave goods, suggesting a society deeply hierarchical and focused on the afterlife. The deciphered Linear B tablets offer insights into their economic, religious, and administrative practices, revealing a sophisticated bureaucracy and complex societal structures. As the Mycenaean civilization matured, so too did their aspirations and rivalries. The city of Troy, located in present-day Turkey and straddling the strategic point between Asia and Europe, became the focal point of this dramatic interplay. While the exact reasons remain a blend of historical conjecture and poetic license, The conflict's betrayal in Homer's Iliad has captured imaginations for millennia. The Iliad highlights only a segment of the Trojan War, focusing on valor, hubris, and divine whims. Achilles' conflict with Agamemnon underscores epic battles under Olympian scrutiny. Beyond Greek tensions, the Iliad also delves into the Trojan view, with Hector's clashes with Achilles pondering mortality, legacy, and heroism. However, the resonance of the Trojan War extends beyond the pages of the Iliad. Historically, there's evidence of a significant conflict around the 12th century BCE, aligning with the timeline of the late Bronze Age collapse, suggesting the war wasn't just poetic fiction. The discovery of the archaeological site of Hissarlik, believed to be ancient Troy, adds tangible dimensions to this legendary confrontation. In the central Aegean, the islands of the Cyclades birthed the Cycladic civilization. Earlier than the Minoans, dating back to 3000 BCE, they are primarily known for their enigmatic flat idols made of the finest white marble. These statues, often featuring folded arms and elongated features, are believed to have religious significance, possibly serving as votive offerings. Though less monumental than their Minoan and Mycenaean counterparts, the Cycladaics played a crucial role in the Aegean trade and cultural networks, especially in the realms of metallurgy and art. Together, these three civilizations painted a vivid picture of early Aegean life. Their architecture, art, trade, and governance advancements set the stage for later Hellenic cultures and wove them into the broader fabric of Bronze Age Mediterranean dynamics. Following the luminescent era of the Mycenaeans, the Greek world entered a period often termed the Dark Ages. From the late 12th to the 9th century BCE, this phrase was marked by societal regression, reduced literacy, and the disintegration of the once mighty Mycenaean palatial systems. The collapse of the Mycenaean civilization is one of antiquity's most intriguing mysteries. While no singular cause is universally accepted, a confluence of factors likely contributed to this decline. Natural disasters might have weakened the infrastructure and agricultural backbone of these societies. Concurrently, internal strife and power struggles could have exacerbated societal fractures. But the most debated theory involves the mysterious Sea Peoples, who, as per Egyptian sources, ravaged parts of the eastern Mediterranean during this period. Their possible invasions, combined with other aforementioned adversities, could have hastened the Mycenaeans' downfall. With the disintegration of the palatial systems, the socio-political landscape of Greece underwent a profound transformation. Populations migrated, leading to depopulation in the once prosperous Mycenaean centers. Trade routes, which once facilitated the flow of goods and ideas across the Mediterranean, dwindled. Artistic and architectural endeavors, too, saw a decline, with the grandeur of the Bronze Age making way for simpler, more rudimentary forms. Yet, these centuries were also a time of profound socio-cultural evolution. In these times of adversity, the Greeks laid the foundation for what would soon be a renaissance, the Archaic period. The seeds for the Greek alphabet were sown, borrowing and adapting from the Phoenician script, a change that would soon revive literacy and historical recording. As the Dark Ages receded, Greece witnessed the rise of a new and fundamental political entity, the polis, or city-state. Communities seeking protection often clustered around fortified hilltops called acropolis, which expanded to encompass plains and valleys, evolving into autonomous urban centers. Each polis evolved as a hub for trade, craftsmanship, and agriculture, with the agora, or marketplace, becoming its beating heart. Each city-state had its patron deities, festivals, and rituals, reinforcing a shared identity among its citizens. Similarly, different city-states adopted varying forms of governance, from monarchies to oligarchies, and notably in Athens, early forms of democracy. Among the most influential Greek city-states, Athens underwent a remarkable political transformation, shifting from oligarchy to democracy. Leaders such as Draco and Solon initiated early reforms, but Cleisthenes in the late 6th century BCE is celebrated as the father of Athenian democracy. His restructuring of the Athenian polis diminished the influence of traditional aristocratic families and enhanced the involvement of the average citizen in governance. Under this emerging democratic system, the ecclesia, assembly, was founded, enabling free male citizens to convene, discuss, and vote on civic matters. Additionally, the Boule, a council of 500 members chosen by lot, prepared topics for the assembly's deliberations, promoting a more equitable distribution of political power, although still within the confines of ancient norms. While other city-states, notably Sparta, pursued alternative forms of governance, Athens' democratic principles would exert a lasting influence on Western political thought. However, as much of these city-states were self-contained entities, they were not isolated. Alliances and rivalries, trade and warfare, diplomacy and subterfuge wove an intricate web of interactions. Pan-Hellenic festivals, like the Olympic Games, further fostered a shared sense of Hellenic identity, even amidst their fierce independence. Originating from religious ceremonies dedicated to the mighty Olympian god Zeus, the Olympic Games were instituted in 776 BCE in Olympia. But these weren't just athletic contests. They epitomized the collective spirit of the Hellenic world. Every 4 years, a truce was declared across all Greek city-states, enabling athletes to travel safely and compete. Disciplines included foot races, long jump, discus throw, wrestling, and chariot racing, among others. Victors weren't rewarded with monetary prizes but a simple olive wreath. Yet, the prestige associated with victory was immense. Champions became legends in their city-states, sometimes immortalized in statues or songs. More than mere sporting events, the Olympics manifested the Greek polis' shared cultural and religious ethos, transcending their rivalries and conflicts. Building upon the Archaic Age, where Homer's epics resonated in the hearts of Greeks and democracy saw its dawn, the Classical Age begun under the looming shadow of an external threat, the expansive Persian Empire. The origins of the Persian Wars trace back to the Ionian revolts of the late 6th century BCE when Greek city-states in Asia Minor rebelled against Persian rule. Although quelled by the Persians, this revolt planted the seeds of hatred. Persia's ambitious rulers, notably Darius and later his son Xerxes, perceived Greece as a strategic conquest and a means to quell any further rebellions inspired by mainland Greeks. The first significant clash occurred in 490 BCE in Marathon. Athenians, vastly outnumbered, managed a resounding victory against Darius's forces. The miraculous Athenian win was a beacon of hope, proving that the mighty Persian Empire was not invincible. However, it was the stand at Thermopylae in 480 BCE that would forever etch itself into the annals of history. As Xerxes marshaled a vast army and navy to subdue Greece, a small coalition force led by King Leonidas I of Sparta decided to halt the Persian advance at the narrow pass of Thermopylae. The Spartans stood at the forefront, renowned for their martial prowess and culture centered on warfare from a young age. For 3 days, this Spartan-led Hellenic force, numbering in the mere thousands, fended off the Persian multitudes. Despite their eventual defeat, owing to a local's betrayal who showed Persians a mountain path behind the Greek lines, their sacrificial defense became a symbol of Hellenic courage and resilience. The Spartans' ethos, exemplified by their maxim, "Come back with your shield or on it," was fully displayed at Thermopylae. It wasn't just a battle, but a statement of indomitable spirit. After Thermopylae, with Persian forces pouring into Greece, the naval battle of Salamis turned the tide. Athens, having evacuated its citizens to nearby islands, played a crucial role under the wise leadership of Themistocles. Luring the Persian navy into the narrow straits of Salamis, the more nimble Greek triremes decimated the Persian fleet. This victory not only marked a pivotal point in the Persian Wars, but also solidified Athens' status as the preeminent naval power in the Aegean. Salamis was more than a battle. It was the inception of Athenian maritime dominance, which would later underpin its empire and influence across the Mediterranean. After the Persian Wars, Greek city-states underwent a significant transformation. They united in response to the external threat, creating a sense of shared identity and interdependence. This unity, known as Pan-Hellenism, wasn't a formal alliance, but set the stage for future collaborations. However, this unity had complexities. Despite the common enemy, city-states like Athens and Sparta had conflicting interests. Athens, becoming a naval power after Salamis, often clashed with Sparta, a land-based military force. Citizens of Athens, Sparta, Corinth, and Thebes still primarily identified with their city-states and viewed others as rivals. In this period, Athens entered an era of unparalleled cultural, intellectual, and political growth. This period, often referred to as the Golden Age of Athens, was largely orchestrated under the visionary leadership of Pericles, a prominent statesman and general. Pericles' leadership from the mid-5th century BCE marked a time of flourishing arts, impressive architectural feats, and a democratic refinement. Through the Delian League's funds, which controversially were moved to Athens from Delos, Pericles sponsored massive construction projects like rebuilding the Acropolis, which the Persians had razed. Its centerpiece, the Parthenon, was a testament to Athenian artistry, dedication, and reverence to Athena, their patron goddess. Under Pericles' patronage, the arts thrived. Theater, in particular, experienced a surge, but sculpture, poetry, and other art forms equally flourished, turning Athens into a cultural epicenter that drew talent from across the Hellenic world. However, philosophy emerged as a defining discipline in the vibrant tapestry of the Athenian Golden Age. Three figures towered over this realm, each laying the groundwork for millennia of subsequent thought: Socrates, his student Plato, and Plato's student Aristotle. While active in the same city and linked through a teacher-student lineage, these three philosophers offered diverse perspectives on existence, knowledge, ethics, and governance. Their discourses, sometimes harmonious and often contrasting, enriched the intellectual milieu of Athens. More importantly, their legacies transcended their lifetimes, shaping Western philosophy and inspiring thinkers throughout history. Perhaps one of Pericles' most lasting legacies was his enhancement of Athenian democracy. He instated pay for public office holders, ensuring that even the less affluent could serve. He also championed the concept of isonomia, or equality before the law. The assembly was open to all male citizens, granting them the authority to decide on laws, war and peace, and other civic matters. The Boule, or Council of 500, was a rotating council responsible for daily administrative affairs and setting the agenda for the assembly. Another vital component was the system of ostracism. Designed as a check against potential tyrants or overly dominant political figures, this mechanism allowed the citizens to vote anonymously to exile an individual for 10 years if deemed a threat to the state. Athenian democracy was indeed revolutionary. It provided a model where governance was rooted in the collective will rather than the whims of a monarch or a select aristocracy. Yet, it still had its limitations. Slavery persisted, women were largely excluded from political life, and citizenship was a closely guarded privilege. The democracy of Athens wasn't universal suffrage as understood today, but for its time, it was a profound leap forward. In such fertile grounds of ancient Greece, the seeds of modern science were sown. Mathematics, considered the key to unlocking the universe's secrets, was passionately pursued by thinkers like Pythagoras, who delved into mathematical ratios in music, astronomy, and nature. In the realm of astronomy, Greek thinkers like Aristarchus and Samos proposed a heliocentric universe, challenging established norms. In medicine, Hippocrates and his school shifted the focus from divine punishments to empirical, rational approaches. Galen's works on anatomy and the humoral theory remained authoritative for centuries. Beyond science, ancient Greece was a realm where artistic expression thrived, encapsulating the essence of humanity through architecture, sculpture, and theater. With its grandeur, Greek architecture revered gods and the cosmos. Doric and Ionic orders, exemplified by the Parthenon and the Temple of Artemis, showcased religious devotion, civic pride, and aesthetic ideals. Sculptors pursued the perfect representation of the human body, evolving from the rigid forms of the Archaic period to the lifelike sculptures of the Classical period, epitomized by the discobolus. In the Hellenistic period, emotion and drama infused sculptures, as seen in the Laocoon group. Greek theater, born from religious ceremonies, explored human nature and societal norms. With plays like Oedipus Rex and Medea, tragedy delved into the human psyche and the consequences of mortal follies. As seen in Aristophanes' works, comedy critiqued contemporary society and politics with wit and humor. Greek culture delved into the mysteries of the human soul and cosmos through mythology, literature, and epic poetry. Greek myths explained natural phenomena, moral lessons, and reflections on human nature. Creation myths, heroic sagas, and literature gave voice to love, loss, and celebration. Epic poetry, exemplified by Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, delved into heroic deeds, divine interventions, and the conflict between fate and free will. These narratives explored themes of honor, pride, and the erratic nature of gods. Integral to Greek culture were athletics and competitions, with the Olympic Games as the grand spectacle. While the Olympics were most renowned, other events like the Pythion, Isthmian, and Nemean Games added diversity to the Greek sporting calendar. Sport reflected societal values of excellence, honor, and competitive spirit, shaping young men in gymnasia and palaestrae as they trained, socialized, and embraced ideals of citizenship and camaraderie. Ancient Greece's rich tapestry of science, art, literature, and athletics left an enduring legacy that continues to inspire and shape the modern world. During that time, in the shadows of classical Greece, a power emerged to set the stage for one of the most transformative periods in Greek history: the Kingdom of Macedon. For many, Macedon was merely a cluster of tribes hailing from Greece's northern fringes. Although they possessed spirit, they didn't have the organizational prowess of southern Greek states. Yet, by the 4th century BCE, circumstances started to pivot dramatically under the leadership of King Philip II. Philip, a visionary, saw the dormant potential in Macedon. Recognizing its strategic importance as a nexus between Greece and the north, he embarked on a transformative mission, unifying the Greek city-states under Macedon's sway. This wasn't merely about conquest. Philip wielded diplomacy, endorsed military ingenuity, and spearheaded campaigns to influence cities, including mighty Athens and Thebes, to acknowledge Macedon's rising dominance begrudgingly. The kernel of Philip's ambition was clear: make Macedon central to Greek affairs both politically and militarily. While Macedon was earlier seen as an outlier, Philip envisioned it at the very heart of the Greek world. To achieve this, he had to unite the fractious city-states notorious for their decades-long internal skirmishes. Considering these states' pride and historical might, this was a Herculean task. Philip's approach was twofold. First, he persuaded alliances and fostered Macedonian-aligned governments within the city-states. When this failed, Philip showcased Macedon's military muscle, which had undergone significant enhancements under his reign. Chief among these was the revamped phalanx formation. Armed with the longer Syriza spear, the Macedonian phalanx enjoyed a considerable advantage over traditional Greek forces. His efforts culminated in the Battle of Chaeronea in 338 BCE. Macedon emerged triumphant against an alliance of Greek city-states, including the revered forces of Athens and Thebes. This wasn't just a military milestone, it symbolized a seismic shift in the balance of power in ancient Greece. It marked the twilight of the era of independent city-states. A new dawn, with Macedon at its core, emerged. The Greeks, while preserving their regional customs and institutions, now operated under Macedon's vigilant gaze. The stage for the Hellenistic period was set, where Greek culture would permeate continents. The seeds sown by Philip would later flourish even more spectacularly under his illustrious son, Alexander the Great. The young Macedonian prince, Alexander III, known universally as Alexander the Great, was poised to eclipse his father's remarkable legacy. Born in Pella in 356 BCE, Alexander was acquainted with leadership and statecraft from childhood. By his youth, Macedon was the preeminent force on the Greek peninsula. However, it wasn't just his powerful lineage that distinguished Alexander, but the unparalleled education he received. At its core was the philosopher Aristotle, commissioned by King Philip II. Aristotle tutored Alexander at the tranquil temple of Nymphs at Mysia, immersing him in Greek wisdom spanning philosophy, politics, science, and arts. Alexander's education, a fusion of Macedon's martial spirit with Greek intellectualism, offered him a broad, enlightened perspective. Aristotle underscored leadership virtues, the primacy of reason, and the merit of understanding varied cultures. These lessons became vital as Alexander ventured into campaigns, meeting diverse civilizations that demanded both military prowess and diplomatic agility. In Alexander's formative years, the melding of Macedonian bravery with Greek intellect produced a leader, bold in warfare yet inquisitive about global cultures. Such attributes propelled him from a young prince to the ruler of an expansive empire. Following the assassination of his father, King Philip II, in 336 BCE, a 20-year-old Alexander faced a vacant Macedonian throne and a realm on the brink of discord. Demonstrating decisive leadership, he quickly suppressed revolts and neutralized potential contenders. Those skeptical of such a young ruler soon recognized his unyielding determination. In no time, Alexander fortified his rule in Macedon and reaffirmed its supremacy over Greek city-states. Alexander was universally hailed as the Greeks' leader at the Pan-Hellenic Congress in Corinth, previously convened under Philip II. However, Alexander's aspirations extended beyond Greece. He eyed the vast Persian Empire, leveraging Philip's formidable army and momentum. His initial engagements with the Persians began in Asia Minor, with the Battle of Granicus River in 334 BCE marking his inaugural major victory. Here, Alexander's military brilliance and bold tactics, often personally spearheading charges, galvanized his forces and terrified foes. These triumphs in Asia Minor presaged expansive campaigns, leading Alexander into previously uncharted Greek territories. With each conquest, Alexander's legend and domain expanded. The Macedonian king rapidly transformed from a regional leader to a global conqueror, laying the groundwork for ventures that would reshape history. Securing the western boundaries of the Persian Empire, Alexander set his sights on the Achaemenid heartland, showcasing both military prowess and his knack for melding diverse cultures. His journey led him through Asia Minor and culminated in Egypt by 332 BCE. Embraced as Egypt's liberator from Persian yoke, he founded Alexandria, a city that blossomed into a hub of Hellenistic civilization, embodying his vision of Greek and native cultural synthesis. His military acumen shone against King Darius III at the Battle of Issus in 330 BCE. A numerically inferior Macedonian force outwitted the colossal Persian army, forcing Darius to retreat. Alexander's tactical mastery, adept use of phalanxes, and cavalry were evident as they met again at the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BCE. Alexander's troops outflanked the Persians, marking the Achaemenid Empire's downfall and culminating in the capture of Persepolis. Alexander's campaigns highlighted more than martial skills. He integrated local customs, treated foes honorably, and championed Greek-Eastern cultural fusion, paving the way for the Hellenistic age. His leadership fostered allegiance from followers and respect from conquered territories. By his death in 323 BCE, Alexander's empire spanned from Greece through Egypt to Asia, even reaching India. He left behind a Hellenistic heritage, intertwining Greek and Eastern traditions and sculpting civilizations for generations to come. After Alexander's unexpected death in 323 BCE, the vast empire he built stood on shaky ground. Lacking a clear heir to the kingdom spanning from Greece to India, a power void loomed large. This empire, once cohesive under Alexander, soon splintered. The Diadochi, Alexander's elite generals, began claiming regions, leading to the rise of distinct Hellenistic kingdoms, each blending Hellenistic influence with local nuances. During the rise of the Diadochis, several important Hellenistic entities emerged. The Ptolemaic Empire in Egypt, founded by Alexander's confidant Ptolemy I Soter, turned Egypt into a cultural magnet, with the iconic Library of Alexandria as its own crown jewel. In the east, the Seleucid Empire, established by Seleucus I Nicator, spanned Turkey to India's fringes, epitomizing Greek and Oriental cultural fusion. Though other kingdoms like the Attalid and the Greco-Bactrian made their mark, the Ptolemies and Seleucids often dominated, both culturally and in their mutual contests, directing to the Hellenistic Age's trajectory. These empires, though sovereign, showcased Hellenistic hallmarks: Greek as the common language, cities echoing Greek architectural sensibilities, and widespread Greek art and thought. Simultaneously, they assimilated indigenous elements, creating a cultural mosaic that profoundly influenced subsequent historical periods. Underlying these kingdoms were cultural and administrative innovations. In Egypt, the Ptolemies mixed Pharaonic and Greek administrative practices, enhancing agricultural efficiency. The Seleucids, meanwhile, blended Greek and local legal frameworks, ensuring smooth governance. Their shared contribution was the fusion of Greek ethos with native traditions, leading to novel artistic, architectural, religious, and philosophical avenues. The introduction of Greek language and scripts tailored for local dialects, like the Greco-Bactrian script, played crucial roles in furthering cultural unity across vast territories. The Hellenistic Age, succeeding in Alexander's reign, became a canvas of profound cultural synthesis. Greek ideologies seamlessly meshed with local traditions across conquered lands. This integration wasn't superficial. New practices, rituals, and philosophies evolved. Greek gods were assimilated with regional deities, spawning composite religious practices. The Greek language, while pervasive, coexisted with local dialects, fostering a united yet diverse cultural milieu. Science and innovation thrived in this milieu. Astronomy saw figures like Hipparchus, with Alexandria's observatory becoming a hub of cosmic research. In mathematics, Euclid's elements set foundational geometric principles, while Archimedes expanded the horizons of calculus and physics. The realm of medicine witnessed revolutionary strides, notably Herophilos distinguished veins from arteries. These scientific endeavors often intertwine, propelling multifaceted progress. Artistically, the era marked a departure from classical Greek norms. Statues exhibited detailed emotions and dynamism, with pieces like Laocoon and his sons epitomizing this shift. Architecturally, structures mirrored Greek designs yet echoed regional elements. Pergamon's architecture exemplified Hellenistic grandeur. Literature flourished with works of Theocritus, Menander, and Polybius reflecting the era's essence. Central to this age's intellectual fervor were libraries, the most famed being Alexandria's. More than a repository, it symbolized the Hellenistic intellectual spirit. With ambitions to collect every book, it drew scholars globally, becoming a locus of research and discourse. Translations bridged cultural divides. Greek works reached foreign audiences and vice versa. While the library's physical entity faced tragedies, its ethos, dedication to knowledge and cultural dialogue, has been immortalized, echoing the spirit of the Hellenistic age that blended traditions, fostering unparalleled intellectual and artistic achievements. Within his short, impactful life, Alexander the Great redefined world history. Beyond territorial conquests, he pioneered an era of cultural amalgamation and the dream of a united global realm. While empires have ebbed and flowed, Alexander's legend epitomizes ambition, leadership, and human potential. His military feats were matched by spreading Greek culture worldwide. As he journeyed from Macedonia to the Indus Valley, Hellenistic influences, from architecture to philosophy, permeated the lands he subdued. This Hellenization crafted cities echoing Greek designs and introduced Greek arts and intellect, merging them with indigenous practices. Koine Greek, a simplified classical Greek, bridged communication across Alexander's vast territories, fostering cultural and idea exchanges. Its importance persisted, serving commerce, academia, and early Christian writings for centuries, cementing the Greeks' foundational status in Western civilization. The Hellenistic blend of Greek and Eastern essences persisted, influencing subsequent empires, notably the Romans. As Rome expanded, it assimilated Hellenistic elements. Greek arts and philosophy were revered in Rome, with Roman elites embracing Greek education and aesthetics. This Hellenistic imprint shaped Roman architecture, governance, and spirituality, laying the groundwork for Roman Greece, a fusion of two monumental civilizations, steering Western thought and governance. Building on the foundations of their ever-expanding republic, the Romans set their sights on the Hellenistic East. With its fractured city-states and leagues, Greece presented both a challenge and an opportunity for Rome's imperial ambitions. The climax of these ambitions was reached in the pivotal Battle of Corinth in 146 BCE. This conflict, part of the larger Achaean War, saw the Romans decisively defeat the Achaean League, a coalition of Greek city-states. The aftermath was grim. Corinth, one of the most illustrious Greek cities, was sacked, its treasures looted, and its populace enslaved. The Battle of Corinth was not just a military triumph for Rome, but a symbolic assertion of its dominance over a region that had been a beacon of culture and learning for centuries. The Greek polities, once major players in the Mediterranean, now found themselves under the yoke of Rome, marking the beginning of a new era in Greek history. Following the decisive outcome at Corinth, incorporating Greece into the Roman political fabric began in earnest. Initially, the region was organized as a province known as Macedonia, encompassing much of mainland Greece. As Roman control solidified, other Greek territories, including the Peloponnese and parts of central Greece, were brought under direct Roman rule, expanding the province's boundaries. However, Greece was not just another province for Rome. The Roman elite deeply respected its rich history, culture, and intellectual legacy. This reverence ensured that Greek civilization continued to thrive and influence its conquerors rather than being subsumed. Major Greek cities, like Athens, were allowed certain privileges and autonomy, recognizing their historical and cultural significance. These cities continued to be centers of learning, philosophy, and the arts. The relationship with Greece evolved further as the Roman Republic transitioned into an empire. Emperor Augustus, recognizing Greece's cultural importance, took steps to integrate the region further, extending Roman citizenship to many Greek communities. This integration was both administrative and cultural, with Greece becoming an essential part of the Roman Empire, not just in territory, but in spirit and legacy. Under Roman rule, Greece experienced structural shifts while preserving its distinct identity. Rome introduced an organized bureaucracy, enhanced infrastructure, and a legal system. Formerly independent cities became part of the Roman administrative framework, drawing Roman settlers and changing the region's demographics. However, Greek identity remained strong. Greek aristocrats and elites often collaborated with Roman officials, with many integrated into Roman politics, bridging local needs with Roman administration. While Rome governed, Greece's spirit endured. Greece's societal foundation, shaped by philosophy, art, and democracy, remained robust. Despite Roman political control, Greek culture thrived, maintaining its prominence in the Eastern Empire. The Greek language was paramount and essential for daily interactions and scholarly pursuits. Roman intellectuals often pursued education in Greek institutions. Activities like Greek theater and festivals persisted, with Athens retaining its image as an intellectual hub, drawing Roman elites for education. During this period, Greek intellectual contributions continued to flourish. Plotinus, a philosopher, established Neoplatoism, which revisited and expanded on Plato's work, later influencing Christian and Islamic philosophies. Lucian of Samosata, a satirist, critiqued myths and societal beliefs. In science, Galen of Pergamum became a cornerstone in medicine, drawing from Hippocrates and Aristotle. These luminaries highlighted the resilience and adaptability of Greek culture and intellect, even under Roman dominance. Under Roman rule, Greek cities experienced an architectural evolution, blending Roman engineering prowess with Greek aesthetics. Rome's architectural hallmarks, like grand infrastructure, arches, and concrete integration, reshaped Greek landscapes. These modifications incorporated the Greek Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian styles, giving rise to buildings combining Greek elegance and Roman functionality. This architectural synthesis improved Greek urban life through enhanced utilities and infrastructure. Roman-era structures transformed Greek city landscapes. Theaters maintained their Greek design but integrated Roman arches. The introduction of amphitheaters and circuses displayed Roman entertainment preferences. Greek agoras began mirroring Roman forums in design and purpose. Temples adopted Roman materials like brick and concrete, allowing diverse architectural possibilities. Roman baths, with advanced engineering, became a common sight in Greek cities. Cities like Corinth were revitalized under Roman rule. Rebuilt post-conquest, it became the provincial capital of Achaea, with structures like the Temple of Octavian preserving its Greek identity. Ephesus, housing the famed Temple of Artemis, added the Library of Celsus and the Great Theater under Roman influence. Thessaloniki, strategically positioned along the Via Egnatia, showcased Roman architecture with the rotunda and other structures. These cities epitomized the integration of Roman practicality and Greek tradition, reflecting a harmonious blend of both cultures. Under Roman rule, Greece's religious landscape also evolved, showcasing the flexibility of Roman religious philosophy. Rather than enforcing their pantheon, Romans found parallels with Greek deities, fostering a synchronism between the two traditions. Zeus equated with Jupiter, Artemis with Diana, Athena with Minerva, Ares with Mars, etc. This harmonization extended to rituals, temples, and art, revealing a deep cultural integration. Such equivalencies were mutual, as the Romans understood the advantage of blending, not replacing existing beliefs. This synergy enriched myths, rituals, and ceremonies, deeply intertwining Greek and Roman practices. The Eleusinian mysteries, dedicated to Demeter and Persephone, persisted, attracting even Roman emperors with their profound insights into life and the afterlife. But the most significant shift was the emergence of Christianity. Apostle Paul's journey to Corinth, Thessaloniki, and Athens propagated Christ's teachings, gradually steering the region away from age-old polytheistic traditions. By the late Roman era, Christianity ascended as the primary faith, reflecting a blend of cultures and a shift towards universal beliefs. But not everything was bright during Roman Greece's era. Sporadic resistance against Roman dominance was inspired by the memory of Greece's illustrious past. This resistance was evident in events like Athens' support for Mithridates VI during the 1st century Mithridatic Wars, driven by nationalistic pride and discontent with Roman policies. In retaliation, the Romans often employed severe measures. Often siding with Mithridates VI, Athens endured a punishing siege, subsequently losing significant autonomy. However, Roman responses to such challenges also evolved. Recognizing Greece's importance, the Romans adopted an integrative approach, granting privileges like tax exemptions and allowing some cities limited self-governance. They also involved Greek elites and administration, fostering collaboration over subjugation. The Romans enhanced mutual connectivity and prosperity by investing in Greece's development. As the Western Roman Empire faced pressures, power shifted eastward, with Byzantium emerging as a new center. Positioned at the crossroads, Greece was primed to play a central role in the forthcoming Byzantine epoch, a fusion of Greek, Roman, and emerging Christian legacies. Emerging from the later Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, often referred to as the Eastern Roman Empire, carved out its identity. As the Western Roman Empire began its decline due to invasions and internal struggles, the eastern portion showcased remarkable resilience and adaptability. The term Byzantine derives from Byzantium, the ancient name of Constantinople, and was used by later historians to distinguish this period from the classical Roman era. However, during its existence, the empire's residents saw themselves as Romans, and their state as the Roman Empire, continuing the legacy of Rome in the east. The Byzantine political framework was underpinned by centralized governance, Roman legal continuity, and a formidable military. Benefiting from the foresight of late Roman emperors' administrative reforms, Byzantium thrived where the Western Empire faltered, surviving for another 1,000 years post-Rome's 476 AD fall. Strategically nestled between Europe and Asia, Constantinople, renamed to honor Emperor Constantine, 306 to 337 AD, was a monumental hub for trade, culture, and diplomacy. Overlooking the Bosphorus, it controlled maritime pathways between the Mediterranean and the Black Sea. However, its significance wasn't solely geographical. Relocating the Roman Empire's capital to Byzantium in the 4th century AD marked a pivotal geopolitical transition. The city's regularly enhanced fortifications rendered it nearly invincible to external threats. Constantinople's architectural wonders showcased its affluence and global flair. The Hagia Sophia remains emblematic of the city's architectural prowess and spiritual stature. More than the capital, Constantinople symbolized Rome's political traditions meshing with Eastern influences, culminating in a realm of Roman in governance, Greek in cultural essence, and dominantly Christian in faith. The city persistently magnetized myriad cultures, ideologies, and aspirations as centuries unfolded. The early Byzantine Empire, with Constantinople at its helm, heralded a golden age under Justinian I, 527 to 565 AD in the 6th century. Dubbed the Last Roman, Justinian's tenure was renowned for groundbreaking governance initiatives and territorial pursuits. His crowning achievement was the Corpus Juris Civilis, or the Justinian Code. This monumental consolidation of Roman legal traditions streamlined them into a cohesive system. Beyond shaping Byzantine law, its ripple effects molded Western legal structures for centuries. Yet, Justinian's aspirations weren't confined to administration. Aiming to resurrect the Roman Empire's erstwhile splendor, he undertook aggressive military endeavors. Spearheaded by the adept general Belisarius, Byzantine armies reclaimed swaths of territory, notably North Africa and portions of Italy, encompassing Rome. While these conquests momentarily echoed Rome's past glory, they strained Byzantine coffers and posed sustainability challenges. Amidst its ascent, the Byzantine Empire grappled with significant threats from the east. Over there, the Byzantines' principal adversary was the Sassanid Persian Empire. Their enduring conflicts epitomized the battles of two ancient titans. These empires, divided by a volatile eastern frontier, clashed over territories, religious distinctions, the Byzantines being Christian and the Sassanids Zoroastrian, and regional supremacy. The height of their strife was in the late 6th and early 7th centuries, led by figures like Byzantine's Justinian I and Sassanids' Khosrow I. A pivotal conflict was the Byzantine-Sassanid War of 602 to 628. The Sassanids, under Khosrow II, initially dominated, even threatening Constantinople. But the Byzantine Empire Heraclius retaliated, venturing deep into Sassanid lands and significantly defeating the Persians. While Heraclius' victory reclaimed vast territories for the Byzantines and destabilized the Sassanids, the prolonged warfare debilitated both empires. These battles exhausted their resources, leaving them susceptible to the emerging Arab Caliphate. Ironically, the Byzantines and the Sassanids remained engrossed in their feud. They overlooked the emerging force from the Arabian Peninsula, poised to redefine the region's geopolitical and religious terrain. Following Prophet Muhammad's death in 632 AD, Islamic Arab forces embarked on swift conquests, challenging Byzantine supremacy in the Near East. Driven by religious fervor and military skill, the Arabs wrestled vital Byzantine regions, including the Levant and Egypt. These weren't mere territorial losses, but symbolic and strategic blows to the Byzantine heart. However, the Byzantines responded robustly. Under astute emperors, they initiated military reforms, notably the themes system, strengthening their defense and troop mobilization. Constantinople, the empire's crown jewel, repelled Arab sieges with its robust fortifications and enigmatic weapons, Greek fire. While unable to reclaim all territories, the Byzantines fortified their Anatolian frontier, establishing a bulwark against further Arab advances. The protracted Byzantine-Arab confrontations gradually morphed into sporadic skirmishes without a decisive victor. The Byzantine Empire demonstrated remarkable adaptability and tenacity throughout these challenges, safeguarding its legacy while laying the foundations for upcoming endeavors. In such an environment, the Byzantine Empire adopted a unique administrative system influenced significantly by Greek bureaucracy, supplanting older Roman frameworks. Greek, not Latin, became the primary administrative language, introducing Greek governance and thought patterns. The Byzantine Empire, known for its detailed governance approach, had defined roles for every state function. This intricate system contributed to its millennium-long stability. The themes system further strengthened governance, segmenting the empire into military districts for efficient troop mobilization and decentralizing power to manage rebellions efficiently. This administrative blend, deeply influenced by Greek principles, equipped the Byzantines to navigate challenges while maintaining their distinct identity. Another major factor that shaped the Byzantine state policy was religion. In the Byzantine Empire, the boundaries between politics and religion were indistinct due to the pivotal role of the Orthodox Church. This institution held profound political and religious sway, impacting policy and emperor succession. Emperors were perceived not only as political heads, but also as spiritual custodians, intertwining their roles with religious duties. Their coronation, officiated by the Patriarch of Constantinople, highlighted this union. While primarily a spiritual leader, the Patriarch significantly influenced religious and political matters. The Church unified the diverse Byzantine territories, offering a shared religious identity amidst varied ethnicities. This fusion of politics and faith was foundational to Byzantine governance and culture. The notorious iconoclastic controversy perfectly displayed how closely intertwined were spirituality and politics in the Byzantine Empire. Icons, revered religious images, were central to Byzantine worship. Yet, in the 8th and 9th centuries, opposition to their use emerged, viewing them as idolatrous. This wasn't just a mere theological dispute, it carried political implications. Emperors like Leo III, opposing icons, sought to curb the monastery's power, which championed icon veneration. Leo's 730 AD decree banning icons in both religious and political motives. This era saw the destruction of icons and persecution of their proponents, causing significant societal rifts. The controversy subsided with councils in 787 and 843 endorsing icons, ending the episode that underscored the Byzantine blurring of religious convictions and political agendas. The Byzantine Empire, amidst political and theological tides, was a crucible of artistic and intellectual resurgence during the Middle Ages. Its architecture, epitomized by the iconic Hagia Sophia, showcased remarkable innovations, including the revolutionary use of pendentives. Byzantine mosaics, vibrant tapestries of colored glass or stone, narrated religious tales offering glimpses of the divine. Beyond architecture and art, Byzantine literature also flourished. Historians like Procopius and Anna Komnene documented the empire's saga, while Byzantine scholars preserved Greek classics bridging the ancient and medieval worlds. The Byzantine Empire, a beacon of intellectual exploration, ardently preserved ancient Greek classics. When these texts faced potential loss in the West, Byzantine libraries and scholars safeguarded philosophers like Plato and Aristotle. Their robust educational framework sustained a deep familiarity with Hellenic thought. Byzantines not only maintained these classics but also enriched them with commentaries and translations, indirectly sparking the Western European Renaissance. This empire saw a fusion of Christian beliefs with Greek philosophy, birthing comprehensive theological dialogues. Figures like John Chrysostom showcased this blend of faith and Hellenic rhetoric. Byzantium's commitment to Greek intellectual traditions acted as a vital bridge from antiquity to the medieval era. Byzantine art, a fusion of Greek aesthetics and Christian spirituality, offered a unique cultural footprint. Its mosaics, crafted from colored tesserae, illuminated spaces like the Hagia Sophia, exemplifying the blend of grandeur and devotion. Icons, revered paintings of divine figures, became pivotal in religious practice, even igniting the iconoclastic controversy over their veneration. Architecturally, the dome, notably crowning the Hagia Sophia, became emblematic of Byzantine innovation. This cultural renaissance also encompassed literature and music, positioning Byzantium as a cultural lighthouse. Thus, Byzantine artistic contributions resonated beyond its borders, influencing and enriching global art and culture for centuries. Between the 11th and 13th centuries, the Byzantine Empire faced internal disputes that eroded its political strength. Emperors of this period often tangled with power-hungry courtiers and military leaders. The fall of the Macedonian dynasty in the 11th century heralded in an era of political upheaval marked by coups and conspiracies. The throne became a coveted target for rival factions. Tensions escalated due to rivalries between the Anatolian military elites and Constantinople's civil officials. A clear succession line's lack further fueled these disputes. Religious divisions mirrored this internal chaos, especially the 1054 East-West Schism that split the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches, influencing future political landscapes. Amidst these challenges, the empire's governance grew more decentralized. Though this provided some provincial stability, it weakened central authority. Such decentralization, combined with constant internal strife, made the empire susceptible to external invasions and territorial losses. The continuous internal strife within the Byzantine Empire couldn't have come at a more challenging time. From the east, a new power was rising: the Seljuk Turks. By the mid-11th century, the Seljuks had established their sultanate in Persia and began moving westward, gradually encroaching on Byzantine territories. The Battle of Manzikert in 1071 marked a significant turning point. The Byzantines, led by Emperor Romanos IV Diogenes, suffered a crushing defeat against Seljuk ruler Alp Arslan. Although not immediately consequential in territorial terms, the battle allowed the Seljuks to dominate central Anatolia, the Byzantine Empire's vital region. Following Manzikert, a divided Byzantine state couldn't launch a collective defense, leading Anatolia to fragment into independent Turkish beyliks. This loss deprived Byzantium of essential military and economic assets. Concurrently, other powers, like the Normans and Pechenegs, seized opportunities to invade Byzantine regions. However, the Seljuks establishing the Sultanate of Rum in Asia Minor remained a pressing concern. As the Byzantines dealt with these threats, a new danger loomed from the west. Surprisingly, it wasn't traditional foes, but fellow Christians that would soon challenge Constantinople's core. Initially aimed at liberating Jerusalem, the Fourth Crusade was catastrophically redirected towards Constantinople in 1204 due to conflicts spurred by Venetian interests. This siege and subsequent capture of Constantinople, a cornerstone of Christendom, was a monumental betrayal. The city suffered 3 days of brutal looting by the Crusaders, resulting in lost or destroyed invaluable artifacts, manuscripts, and religious treasures. Even the iconic Hagia Sophia was desecrated. The aftermath saw the Byzantine Empire fractured and the birth of the Latin Empire, with Baldwin of Flanders crowned emperor. New states like the Kingdom of Thessalonica emerged from the divided Byzantine territories. Although the Byzantines, led by Palaiologos dynasty, reclaimed Constantinople by 1261, the Fourth Crusade's scars ran deep, weakening the empire substantially. This weakened state was more susceptible to external threats, notably the ascending Ottoman Turks. The 1204 events foreshadowed the final fall of the empire. The year 1453 marked a turning point not only within the annals of the Byzantine Empire, but in world history, as the determined Ottoman forces, led by the young and ambitious Sultan Mehmed II, laid siege to Constantinople. With its formidable walls and strategic location, the Byzantine capital had repulsed invaders for centuries. However, this time, the city's defenses were undermined by a combination of advanced Ottoman weaponry, notably the colossal cannons, and the dwindling resources and morale of its inhabitants. For 53 days, the city held out, with its defenders led by the last Byzantine emperor, Constantine XI Palaiologos, exhibiting unyielding bravery. But on May 29th, after an intense campaign, the city's defenses faltered. The Ottomans breached the walls, and Constantinople, the once unassailable heart of Byzantium, fell into their hands. The implications were profound. The conquest symbolized the end of the ancient Roman-Byzantine era and the commencement of the Ottoman Empire's dominance in southeastern Europe. It also signified a shift in the balance of power, as Constantinople, renamed Istanbul, would emerge as the thriving capital of the vast Ottoman realm. The city's loss also dealt a blow to Christendom, with the Hagia Sophia, an architectural marvel and emblem of Orthodox Christianity, being converted into a mosque. The end of the Byzantium was not just an end of the empire, but the beginning of a new chapter where its legacy would be woven into the fabric of the territories that succeeded it. The fall of Constantinople had profound reverberations beyond the immediate territorial conquest. One of the most significant impacts was the Byzantine Empire's role in preserving and transmitting knowledge. Over the centuries, Byzantine scholars had meticulously safeguarded Greek classical texts, philosophy, and science. With the empire's decline, many of these scholars, feeling the encroaching threat, fled to the west, primarily to Italy. They carried priceless manuscripts, ensuring the legacy of ancient Greece and Byzantium would endure. This influx of knowledge, combined with the humanist spirit of the time, became a catalyzing force for the Renaissance, a European cultural movement that saw renowned interest in the classical world. While the Byzantine Empire's political and territorial influence had waned, its intellectual and cultural heritage continued to enlighten Europe and beyond. The religious legacy, too, was indelible. Despite the pressures of Ottoman rule, the Orthodox Christian faith remained deeply rooted among the Greek populace, shaping their identity and resistance in the centuries to come. Yet, as one era ended, another began. With the Byzantine banner lowered, the Ottoman crescent moon rose, casting its shadow over Greece and weaving a new chapter of dominance, resistance, and cultural amalgamation. After Constantinople's fall in 1453, the Ottoman Empire swiftly absorbed Greece's divided city-states. Sultan Mehmed II, responsible for Constantinople's capture, aimed for an expansive, unified empire. While Constantinople's conquest held symbolic importance, the real prize was the Hellenistic dream. Under Ottoman governance, the Malay system granted non-Muslim communities significant autonomy, overseen by their religious leaders. However, even though allowing religious freedom, this system prioritized Muslims socially and politically. Therefore, only converting to Islam promised Greeks better socio-economic prospects. As in the rest of the conquered territories, Sultan Mehmed II introduced land redistribution in Greece through the Tamar system, rewarding his cavalrymen with land for their military services. In this manner, the reach of the Sultan's reign was spread to even the furthest corners of occupied Greece. However, another key feature of Ottoman governance in Greece best portrayed the chains of Ottoman slavery the Greeks were enduring. It was the notorious devshirim system, in which Christian boys were taken away from their families, converted to Islam, and trained as elite warriors. Janissaries. Meanwhile, the spirit of resistance brewed in Greece. Initial years of Ottoman control saw localized rebellions, notably in the Peloponnese, driven by anti-Ottoman sentiments and a desire to restore the Byzantine era. These early uprisings, however, lacked unity. In response, the Ottomans combined forceful suppression with strategic diplomacy. Rebellious regions faced severe punishments, while influential Greek families received privileges, integrating them into the Ottoman administrative fold. This strategy aimed to deter uprisings and maintain stability. Still, the Greek resolve persisted. Despite their limitations, these initial revolts planted seeds of future rebellions, fostering a continuous aspiration for freedom amidst the Ottoman Empire's dominance. Under Ottoman rule, Greeks recognized as dhimmis, non-Muslim subjects, had certain rights and protections but faced obligations and restrictions. This dhimmi system, rooted in Islamic principles, required non-Muslims to pay a special jizya tax in exchange. They could practice religion, had institutional autonomy, and avoided military service. Despite these allowances, they experienced social inferiority, with limits on public religious expression. The Sultan also wielded authority over the ecumenical patriarch of Constantinople, making him both a spiritual and political intermediary. Nevertheless, Greeks used the system to maintain their communal identity, with the Orthodox Church preserving Greek culture and language. The Ottomans' pragmatic governance approach allowed local autonomy within their vast territories through the Malay system, granting religious groups self-governance. In Greece, many rural areas enjoyed considerable independence. Local chieftains, or archontes, often governed these regions, liaising between the Ottomans and locals. Regions like the Mani Peninsula exemplified this autonomy due to their challenging terrains and independent residents. This governance model permitted Greek traditions to flourish under Ottoman rule, setting the stage for future nationalistic movements. Economically, Greece's integration into the Ottoman realm unlocked expansive trade opportunities. Greek merchants and sailors, renowned since the Byzantine era, now ascended a broader territory from the Balkans to Persia. Thessaloniki, for instance, emerged as a commercial nucleus, attracting empire-wide merchants. While Greek traders flourished, challenges persisted. The Tamar system saw Greek peasants working lands owned by Ottoman cavalrymen, paying them a produce percentage. Despite economic hurdles like this and war-induced trade disruptions, many Greek merchant communities prospered, establishing vital connections that would later influence Greece's independence movement. Throughout the centuries of enslavement, the Orthodox Church stood as the sole guiding light for the Greek people. Undeterred by challenges, the Church held services in Greek and stood as an educational pillar, disseminating Greek history and culture, affirming its foundational role in Greek identity throughout Ottoman dominance. Simultaneously, the Greek language and literature symbolized Hellenic continuity. Daily life saw the language thrive, while education institutions, often church-sponsored, emphasized classical Greek literature. Notably, the Phanariots of Constantinople championed a cultural renaissance, endorsing schools and printing presses. Thus, Greek literature endured and rejuvenated during the Ottoman period, fortifying modern Greek identity. Additionally, Greek culture thrived in various artistic forms. Traditional music narrated tales from ancient lore and Ottoman-era life, serving as oral traditions. Folklore, through festivals and dances, was a community binder, offering solace and unity. Meanwhile, visual artists, though constrained by certain religious edicts, ingeniously blended Byzantine artistry with motifs echoing freedom aspirations, particularly in iconography. In sum, the Greeks under Ottoman rule displayed indomitable cultural persistence. Their artistic endeavors, from songs to paintings, epitomized a spirit resilient against oblivion, ensuring Hellenism's eventual resurgence. As centuries passed, the shadows of Ottoman dominance lingered, and the embers of rebellion began smoldering in Greek society's heart. Their enduring spirit, previously expressed through art, music, and folklore, began to manifest more overtly with the 19th century's advent, influenced by European trends. Enlightenment ideals permeated Greek thought, merging ancient democratic values with modern revolutionary concepts. Thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau echoed the philosophies of Socrates and Plato, fueling Greek aspirations for autonomy and liberty. Covertly circulated writings promoted nationalism and self-determination, envisioning an autonomous Greek reminiscent of its legendary past. Concurrently, secret groups like Philiki aimed at overthrowing the Ottomans gained momentum, spreading subversive ideas. Economic challenges and heightened Ottoman taxation amplified Greek grievances, making the society ripe for rebellion. Marrying Enlightenment philosophies with these grievances, the stage was set for the 1821 Greek War of Independence. Imbued with a legacy of resistance, Greeks stood steady to reshape their future. Amid a groundswell of Greek passion and ambition, two figures emerged as leaders of the Greek independence movement: Theodoros Kalokotronis and Alexander Eusplantis. Kalokotronis, dubbed the Old Man of Moria, epitomized Greek resilience and military prowess. Hailing from a lineage that resisted Ottoman rule, his guerrilla tactics, shaped by the Peloponnesian landscape, were instrumental in battles like the Siege of Tripolista in 1821. Conversely, Eusplantis, with his European flair and position in Russia's army, played a pivotal role in his revolution. Through his initial 1821 revolt in the Danubian Principalities falter, he galvanized international support and inspired Greek nationalistic fervor. Together, these leaders, distinct in their methods yet united in purpose, became symbols of the diverse Greek spirit, propelling the nation's drive for liberation. The Greek War of Independence attracted global attention, particularly from Britain, France, and Russia, set against 19th century geopolitical dynamics. Each had distinct reasons for supporting Greece. Britain, influenced by Philhellenism and viewing the Greek struggle as echoing its democratic values, became a significant ally. Figures like Lord Bryan not only financially backed the revolution but actively participated, spotlighting the cause internationally. Recalling its revolutionary past, France saw parallels in the Greek fight and a chance to diminish Ottoman regional clout. At the same time, Russia, sharing an Orthodox Christian bond with Greece, envisaged the Ottoman decline as beneficial for its Mediterranean aspirations. This kinship also heightened Russia's sense of duty towards Greece. The combined commitment of these European powers culminated in 1827's Battle of Navarino, where the Triad's naval forces decisively defeated the Ottoman Egyptian fleet, making a strong statement. This victory, complemented by diplomatic endeavors, eventually recognized Greek sovereignty. After the War of Independence, international intervention became crucial to establishing a stable, independent Greek state. The 1832 Treaty of Constantinople, signed between the great powers, Britain, France, Russia, and the Ottoman Empire, recognized Greece's sovereignty after nearly 400 years of Ottoman control. The era's geopolitical dynamics influenced the lead-up to this treaty. Following the Greeks' military successes and due to strategic interests in the eastern Mediterranean, the great powers aimed to resolve the Greek situation while maintaining the Ottoman Empire's integrity. Though the treaties defined Greek boundaries didn't cover all initially desired territories, it was a landmark success, setting the stage for Greece's nation-building challenges ahead. After the Treaty of Constantinople defined Greece's borders, the governance issue arose. To maintain stability and influence, the great powers selected Otto of Wittelsbach, a Bavarian prince, as Greece's first king in 1833. Given Otto was just 17, a Bavarian regency initially governed, introducing reforms like a centralized bureaucracy, a modern legal system, and infrastructure development. However, the regency's autocratic approach and Otto's Catholic background clashed with Greek traditions. Recognizing the discontent, Otto embraced the Orthodox faith and tried to align with Greek sentiments. Still, His reign faced ongoing tensions as Greece grappled with balancing its rich traditions against European influences. During King Otto's rule, demands for representative governance intensified. By the mid-1840s, this culminated in the largely bloodless revolution of the 3rd of September 1843 in Athens, pushing King Otto to grant a constitution. Greece's inaugural constitution of 1844 established a constitutional monarchy with a bicameral parliament and enshrined citizens' rights like freedom of expression and assembly. Yet, political stability remained elusive, with factions and unrest reflecting the Greeks' varied visions for their nation. The constitution saw several revisions throughout the 19th century, striving to balance monarchic and public powers while handling international diplomatic intricacies. This era marked pivotal steps in reshaping Greece's democratic evolution, influencing further 20th century developments. Building upon its newfound independence and the establishment of foundational political institutions, Greece's gaze turned towards the broader region, which in the late 19th and early 20th centuries were characterized by increasing tensions, fueled by the weakening grip of the Ottoman Empire over its European territories and the ambitions of emerging Balkan states. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, as the Ottoman Empire's grip weakened, tensions in the Balkans escalated, driven by the territorial ambitions of emerging Balkan nations. The Balkan Wars, spanning 1912 to 1913, allowed Greece to realize its Megalia idea, a greater Greece incorporating areas with significant Greek populations still under Ottoman control. During the First Balkan War in 1912, Greece partnering with Serbia, Montenegro, and Bulgaria in the Balkan League challenged the Ottoman Empire. The Greek army advanced deep into Macedonia, displaying commendable prowess and determination. One of the most significant victories of this campaign was the liberation of Thessaloniki, a city of immense cultural and economic importance. Led by Crown Prince Constantine, Greek forces entered the city on 26th of October 1912, merely a day ahead of Bulgarian forces asserting Greek claim over the prized city. This not only was a military accomplishment, but symbolized Greece's cultural reclamation. Gains of Epirus and the Aegean fortified Greece's stature in the Balkans. However, post-victory territorial delineations, particularly in Macedonia, sowed discord among the Allies, foreshadowing more geopolitical strife. Following the First Balkan War's united front against the Ottomans, territorial divisions soon strained alliances. Discontented with the Treaty of London's outcomes, Bulgaria initiated the Second Balkan War in 1913, targeting former allies Serbia and Greece. However, joint efforts of Greece and Serbia, along with interventions from Romania and the Ottoman Empire, empowered Bulgaria. The subsequent Treaty of Bucharest redefined borders, granting Greece much of Macedonia and the key port of Kavala. While Greece emerged territorially augmented from the Balkan Wars, the nation faced significant internal challenges. Domestic political dynamics sometimes overshadowed the exhilaration of military victories. King George I's assassination in 1913 brought his son, Constantine I, to the throne. While a source of national pride, the territorial gains also posed challenges. The annexed areas had diverse populations. Integrating them, ensuring governance, and fostering a sense of Greek identity required both tact and force. Additionally, the larger borders meant more extensive defenses against potential adversaries, notably from Bulgaria and the now much diminished Ottoman Empire. The combined strain of external pressures from the wars, coupled with the internal political upheaval, presented Greece with challenges that tested the resilience and adaptability of the young nation. These dynamics set the stage for Greece's involvement in the larger theater of World War I and its subsequent national trajectory in the 20th century. As the storm of World War I engulfed Europe, Greece initially chose the path of neutrality. The nation's stance was influenced by many factors, including King Constantine I's familial connections to Germany's Kaiser Wilhelm II and the inherent risks of joining a massive conflict that had already drawn in many of the world's great powers. The nation, still grappling with the internal and external ramifications of the Balkan Wars, viewed neutrality as a prudent strategy to avoid further destabilization. The nation's neutral stance, however, only further spurred domestic tensions. Central to these was the National Schism, a deep political and ideological rift that widened during the war years. On one side stood King Constantine I, who harbored pro-German sympathies largely due to his familial ties. On the other was the charismatic leader Eleftherios Venizelos, a staunch supporter of the Ententine powers and an advocate for Greece's active involvement in the war on their side. Venizelos believed that supporting the Entente would allow Greece to achieve its territorial ambitions in Asia Minor and Thrace. The disagreement between the monarch and the prime minister became so profound that it split the nation politically, with the royalists supporting the king and the liberals backing Venizelos. This schism resulting in two opposing governments vying for control and legitimacy, the royal government in Athens and the Venizelos-led provisional government in Thessaloniki. Amid the national schism's tensions, the Entente, fearing the Central Powers might exploit Greece, intervened due to the royalist government's perceived leniency. In 1916, Entente troops led by Britain and France landed in Piraeus in support of Venizelos' provisional government against the royalists. The event led to the Noem December clashes in Athens between Entente and royalist forces. Eventually, King Constantine abdicated in June 1917, enabling Venizelos to unify Greece and officially ally with the Entente during the war. Venizelos' adept leadership was pivotal in restoring faith among the Allied powers in Greece's reliability as a partner. His unwavering stance against the Central Powers, bolstered by his previous establishment of the provisional government, solidified Greece's commitment to the Allied cause. Under his guidance, Greece mobilized its forces and resources, significantly contributing to the Allies' war efforts. The Salonika Front, also known as the Macedonian Front, is a testament to Greece's instrumental role in the broader war effort during World War I. The Salonika Front was established in 1915 in northern Greece as the Allied powers tried to aid Serbia. In 1917, the Hellenic army, alongside French, British, and Serbian troops, fortified the region against Central Powers' offenses, transforming Salonika into a vast military encampment. The multinational force experienced long periods of stalemate due to the fortified defensive positions held by both sides. However, by 1918, the Allies mounted a major offensive, leading to decisive victories against the Bulgarian forces. This success directly contributed to Bulgaria's subsequent surrender and the unraveling of the Central Powers' eastern strategy. Greece's involvement in the Salonika Front underlined its importance in the greater geopolitical game of World War I, showcasing its strategic value and military prowess. In the aftermath of World War I, the Treaty of Bucharest in 1918 significantly reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the Balkans and bestowed Greece with substantial territorial gains. Greece's territorial acquisitions were based mainly on the territories occupied by its armed forces during the war and those with significant Greek populations. These included regions in Thrace and the surrounding areas of western Anatolia, reinforcing Greece's strategic position in the eastern Mediterranean. However, the Treaty of Bucharest was more than a mere territorial settlement. For Greece, it was a validation of its sacrifices during the war and a reflection of its growing regional significance. These gains were perceived as a rectification, aligning political borders more closely with the historical and ethnic boundaries of the Greek nation. Yet, as with many post-war treaties, the Treaty of Bucharest planted seeds for future conflicts, particularly with Turkey. Pursuing the Megali idea's vision of uniting all Greek-populated territories, Greece, with tacit Western allies' support, notably Britain, initiated the Greco-Turkish War, 1919 to 1922, targeting Asia Minor regions, especially Izmir. Although Greek forces initially made headway, capturing territories and garnering local Greek support, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk's rising Turkish nationalist movement soon halted their progress. By 1922, Greece faced a devastating defeat, with the dramatic burning of Smyrna becoming a dark, indelible mark on Greek national memory. The 1923 Treaty of Lausanne ultimately solved the conflict, which mandated a vast population exchange between Greece and Turkey. Over 1.5 million Greek Orthodox Christians from Asia Minor were relocated to Greece, while around 500,000 Muslims in Greece moved to Turkey. This aimed to curtail ethnic strife but resulted in massive displacements, severing families from their ancestral homes and histories. Greece faced challenges assimilating the Asia Minor refugees, who brought unique traditions and dialects, enriching yet also challenging Greek culture. Modern Greek culture deeply resonates with this history, with tales and songs echoing the losses, especially of places like Smyrna. The Asia Minor setback and the challenges from incoming refugees plunged Greece into political turbulence during the 1920s and 1930s. This period oscillated between republicanism and monarchism, resulting in frequent governmental shifts and coups. In 1924, a referendum abolished the monarchy, ushering in the Second Hellenic Republic, which grappled with economic woes, societal tensions, and political rifts from past conflicts. The Great Depression of the 1930s intensified Greece's financial struggles and widened political divides. In this volatile context, General Leonidas Metaxas staged a 1936 coup, instituting the authoritarian 4th of August regime. Under the pretext of national stability and anti-communism, Metaxas curtailed civil liberties and suppressed dissent. This unstable interwar phase preluded Greece's trajectory in World War II. Following the turbulent interwar period, World War II imposed itself onto Greece with the audacious Italian invasion in October 1940. Mussolini, expecting an easy conquest, launched his forces from Albania only to be met with robust Greek resistance. Instead of succumbing, Greece pushed the Italians back, securing a notable victory that boosted Allied morale. This resilience was epitomized by Prime Minister Leonidas Metaxas' resounding "Ohi, no" to Mussolini's demands, a moment commemorated annually as Ohi Day. This stand wasn't merely a military feat but showcased Greek tenacity, echoing historic battles against powerful empires. It prompted Churchill's tribute, "Heroes fight like Greeks." However, the resources used against Italy exposed Greece to the imminent German threat. The initial Greek victory against Italy did not go unnoticed by Nazi Germany. Concerned about the southern flank and the delay on their broader Balkan campaign, the Germans turned their gaze to Greece. In April 1941, German forces swiftly invaded, making short work of the Greek and British defenses. By the end of the month, Athens had fallen and Greece was under Axis occupation. This occupation, particularly by the Germans, was marked by severe hardships for the Greek populace. Reprisals against resistance activities were brutal, with entire villages like Distomo being massacred as a warning against insurgent activities. But the spirit of the Greek people was not easily broken. Resistance movements began to form across the country, the most prominent being the communist-led National Liberation Front, EAM, its military wing, ELAS, and the right-wing National Republican Greek League, EDES. These groups engaged in sabotage against Axis infrastructure, espionage, and guerrilla warfare. The resistance was not without its complexities, however. As the war progressed, ideological differences between the ELAS and EDES became pronounced. These rivalries hinted at the civil strife that would engulf Greece in the post-war years. The liberation of Greece from German occupation in 1944 did not bring the anticipated peace. A provisional government was set up with British support, but the divisions between the communists and the conservatives became impossible to reconcile. The EAM, with its military arm ELAS, represented a significant portion of the resistance movement and had communist leanings. In contrast, British-backed forces, fearing a communist takeover in Greece, sought to curtail their influence. By December 1944, clashes broke out in Athens between ELAS forces and government troops supported by the British. This marked the beginning of open conflict. The larger context of the early Cold War fueled British involvement, where the Western Allies sought to prevent communist expansion, especially in strategically vital regions like Greece. In the immediate aftermath of World War II, Greece was not on the path to recovery, but rather on the precipice of another devastating conflict: the Greek Civil War. This internal strife would further shape the nation's political and cultural trajectory for decades. Even though the Varkiza Agreement in 1945 temporarily halted hostilities between the two sides, it set the stage for the Greek Civil War, which raged from 1946 to 1949. This conflict was not just a battle for the future constitution of Greece, but a reflection of the more significant ideological and geopolitical battles emerging in the post-war world. The conflict pitted the Greek government forces, backed by Western allies, against the communist guerrillas, the Democratic Army of Greece, DSC, supported initially by neighboring communist countries. By 1946, the nation was plunged into a full-scale civil war marked by extensive guerrilla warfare, widespread atrocities, and significant civilian suffering. As the Cold War intensified, Greece's internal strife became central to global geopolitics, drawing significant attention from Western powers, notably the United States. This concern manifested in the Truman Doctrine of 1947, when President Harry S. Truman committed the U.S. to support nations battling against subjugation, particularly by communist forces. Greece became a frontline beneficiary of this policy shift. With the doctrine in place, Greece obtained over $400 million in aid, but it wasn't just financial. American military expertise, equipment, and provisions flooded in, strengthening government forces against the communist rebels. This influx, combined with Yugoslavia's decision to withdraw support for Greek communists due to disputes with the Soviet Union, resulted in the communists' defeat by 1949. Thus, the brutal war ended, leaving Greece with deep wounds, thousands dead, and countless others exiled or jailed. The Truman Doctrine ensured Greece's alignment with the West throughout the Cold War, keeping it distinct from the Soviet ambit. This American commitment reshaped the Mediterranean and Middle East geopolitical landscape, firmly establishing U.S. influence in the region. The aftermath of the Civil War led to a period of relative stability in Greece, setting the stage for a shift back towards democratic governance. However, the path to democracy was neither straightforward nor immediate. Initially, the nation grappled with the scars of the war, balancing the demands of reconstruction with the need for political reconciliation. The 1950s saw the establishment of a series of coalition governments, attempting to bridge ideological divides and solidify a functioning democratic system. Politicians, such as Konstantinos Karmelanis and Georgios Papandreou, emerged as prominent figures, each playing pivotal roles in shaping the political landscape of post-war Greece. Amid the Cold War tensions, Greece's geopolitical standing shifted due to its crucial position between Europe, Asia, and Africa. The Western Bloc, notably the US, saw Greece as essential for curbing Soviet influence. The Eastern Mediterranean's strategic significance, with Turkey and the unstable Middle East nearby, highlighted Greece's role in preventing communism's spread. Greece reinforced its allegiance to the West by joining NATO in 1952, underscoring its dedication to counter Soviet threats. U.S. aid to Greece, initiated by the Truman Doctrine, persisted during the Cold War, bolstering its economy and military to keep it aligned with Western interests. However, this partnership faced strains, particularly when the U.S. backed undemocratic Greek regimes. The relationship between Greece and the U.S., with its complex dynamics of support and contention, reached a critical juncture in the late 1960s. On April 21, 1967, a group of middle-ranking army officers, leveraging the political instability and fear of a leftist takeover, staged a coup d'etat. Within hours, they dissolved the Greek parliament, suspended the constitution, and established a military junta that claimed to be acting in the nation's interest. The coup received tacit approval from certain sections of the U.S. administration due to Cold War geopolitics. It marked the beginning of a dark chapter in modern Greek history. The junta, often called the regime of colonels, swiftly consolidated its power by implementing strict martial law. With the political landscape irrevocably altered, Greece would grapple with the ramifications of this sudden and authoritarian shift in governance in the following years. During the junta era, Greece faced severe political repression. Civil liberties were restricted, political parties banned, and media heavily censored. Propaganda espoused nationalistic ideals and warned against communism. Many Greeks, seen as threats, were imprisoned or interned, with rampant reports of torture. Universities, hubs for activism, were targeted, culminating in the closure of Athens Polytechnic in 1973 and a notable student uprising. Eventually, the junta's power waned due to internal disagreements and rising public discontent, further weakened by foreign policy mishaps and governance blunders. The junta's fall in 1974 marked a pivotal moment in Greek history, heralding the beginning of the Metapolitisphoi period, a time of political transition and a return to democratic governance. The catalyst for this change was a failed coup in Cyprus and the subsequent Turkish invasion on the island, to which the junta could not effectively respond. Immediately following its fall, exiled politicians returned to Greece, signaling the end of the 7-year dictatorship. One such figure was Constantine Kermenalis, who was invited back from Paris to lead the nation and form an interim government. Kermenalis, understanding the magnitude of the moment, quickly initiated a series of reforms aimed at restoring democratic institutions and healing the deep wounds inflicted by the junta. One of the most significant decisions during the Metapolitisphoi was holding a referendum in 1974 to determine the future of the Greek monarchy. The public voted overwhelmingly in favor of a republic, leading to the formal abolition of the monarchy and the establishment of Greece as a parliamentary republic. Trials were held for junta members, bringing them to justice for their actions during the dictatorship. Through these processes, Greece sought to confront its recent dark past and ensure that such a chapter would never be repeated. By the late 20th century, Greece's tumultuous past had given way to a stable democracy mirroring Western European standards. On this path, a significant milestone was made in 1981 with the entry into the European Union. However, EU membership posed challenges. Greece faced a massive economic downturn in the late 2000s and early 2010s due to global recessions and domestic fiscal issues. As deficits ballooned, Greece found itself unable to repay or refinance its government debt, pushing the nation into the epicenter of the Eurozone's financial maelstrom. In response, international creditors demanded sweeping economic reforms. Though deemed necessary for fiscal stability, these austerity measures plunged the nation into deep recessions, sparking unemployment and public discontent. While these reforms stabilized Greece's financial standing over time, the societal scars left by the economic upheavals linger, making the journey toward recovery challenging for the Hellenic Republic. From the fierce stand of Spartans in Thermopylae's narrow paths to the bustling streets of modern Athens, we've traversed millennia, witnessing the ebb and flow of a civilization that has shaped the very fabric of our world. The tales of glory, periods of darkness, renaissances, and revolutions all culminate into the Greece we know today, a land that's been both the beacon of civilization and the underdog fighting for its identity. But if there's one thing the annals of Greek history teach us, it's the power of resurgence, the undying spirit to rise no matter the adversity. As the sun sets over this ancient land, we're reminded of the indomitable spirit of Greece, a testament to humanity's enduring quest for knowledge, freedom, and identity. Thank you for joining us on this odyssey. As the Greeks would say, stin hayasas, to your health. Until our next journey together.